could spend a moment with some remarkable people and discover what their life sounds like, what would you ask? Welcome to Are We On Air? An audio encounter. I'm Armand Nafei, and each episode will feature one conversation with an inspiring friend of mine who will share with us the soundtrack to their life. Welcome back to another episode of Are We On Air? This week's episode was one of the earliest that I recorded at the end of 2019 at the Chateau Marmont with my friend, the artist ANDRÉ SARAIVA. ANDRÉ is not only responsible for tagging the world with his Mr. A graffiti, but also for shaping the nightlife of the 2000s, from his legendary club Le Baron in Paris to the Beatrice Inn in New York City. ANDRÉ's places were the place to be. You had to have attitude, not money in order to get in, which was not the norm at the time. The people and the music were always quite eclectic, but you knew you were at the epicenter of cool. I spent countless fun nights at his clubs and listened to so many great tunes, which eventually became the Baron sound, which was copied many times all over the world. Anyway, I hope you'll enjoy this episode. Bonjour, André.
Bonjour, Armand. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being part of this little show.
Crazy project.
This crazy
of
project.
Yours.
Yeah. So this crazy project is basically, I'm asking all my friends, my creative friends, what they're listening to. I want to find out who you are. I want to find out what inspires you. Maybe you have some fun stories. And out of that, we form a little playlist, which is your playlist, the soundtrack to your life.
Thank you. Yeah, you asked me to choose a few songs, so I hope you will enjoy them.
Yeah. Well, to start with, what's your go-to song when you create your art?
There's many songs, but there's one song who is dear to my to mine more than the other, who is "Oh Superman" from Laurie Anderson, and I don't know, it's one of the most special sound, music, words. It's like poetry in a way, and when I used to go out and paint and do my graffiti on the walls, I could have it on my headphones, and it was like being in a dream, and I always felt kind of invincible and that police couldn't catch me when I was listening to that song.
Oh, Superman. Oh, John. Oh, Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad. Oh, Superman. Oh, John. Oh, Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad.
Well, your art, you have your character, Mr. A.
Yes, Mr. A. That's my little alter ego that I used to draw, and I still draw on the walls of the cities I go to.
How many Mr. A's did you paint so far all over the world?
So I made, I don't know, but I made a kind of calculation who went from like, I used to paint every day. I've been doing graffiti for 30 years. I used to draw at least a medium number of 10 to 20. So make the calculation.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up like maybe easy 100,000 of them.
Wow. For our listeners, Mr. A has a top hat, which I think also became the logo for Le Baron, which is your famous, or was your famous, or is your famous.
I still have a nightclub.
Yeah, in discotheque in Paris, and in New York you had one, in London you had one. It's in China,
Tokyo.
In Tokyo. And in Shanghai? No.
In Shanghai, we still have it.
We still have it, yeah.
And in Lisbon.
In Lisbon as well. So
yeah, it's a franchise like McDonald's.
I mean, I had countless beautiful, blurry nights at Le Baron, like so many other people, and I think you touched many people with what you created back then.
You.
And it definitely captured the zeitgeist of the 2000s in Paris, for sure. What song represents Le Baron for you?
So there's also, we were very eclectic in the music we used to play, and we used to play not the usual hits that you used to listen on the radio station and in the other clubs. And we had a special little crush for Adriano Celentano.
I love.
And I think because we also didn't hire any professional DJs, they were all amateurs. And one of the girls playing was Olympia Letan. So now she's a stylist, and she abandoned her career of DJ. But she used to play Adriano Celentano. I Want to Know, Vorrei Sapere was one of my favorite songs. And it represents a bit Baron because it was out of the normal standards of what you could listen in a place. Maybe in Italy in the 70s you would hear it, but like at the time in the 2000s was out of the blue. And we created a new fan club for Adriano Celentano.
I want to know,
Vorrei sapere,
I want to know,
vorrei sapere,
perché la gente
I want to know,
non dice niente.
I want to know,
Ai Mr. Hyde, ai Dr. Jekyll, i costruttori di questi orrori che senza un volto fanno le case dove la carie germoglia già. I want to know, I want to know, I want to know, I want to know.
Love plays such a strong theme in your work. What's your go-to falling in love song?
Ne me quitte pas, sung by Nina Simone, is maybe the most moving love song I know of. Love, yeah. I think love is what drives all human being. We try to pretend is whatever, career, art, creating. No, it's love.
It's love.
Yeah, that's the only thing who makes us get out of bed in the morning. At least me. Like, otherwise, I would rather sleep and dream than be in the real life if it wasn't love.
Ne me quitte pas, je t'inventerai des mots insensés que tu comprendras. Je te parlerai de ces amants-là qui ont vu deux fois le cœur s'embraser. Je te raconterai l'histoire de ce bois mort, de n'avoir pas pu te rencontrer. Ne me quitte pas, ne me quitte pas, ne me quitte pas, ne me quitte pas.
Another iconic spot, nightclub, bar, that whatever you want to call it, that you owned and run was the Beatrice Inn in New York City.
A bordello.
A bordello, yeah, pretty much.
Oh, Beatrice Inn was my favorite for one reason. The ceiling was very low, so no tall people could fit in it. So everybody had my height and my size, so I felt really comfortable in that club.
The Beatrice obviously was an old, for the ones who didn't make it or weren't there, it was a small basement Italian restaurant basically in the West Village. Low ceiling, you have to walk down. It was a residential area on West 12th Street in New York at downtown.
People, our neighbors didn't like us.
No, I mean, iconic. It's one of those clubs that in 10, 20, 30 years, people look back, oh my God, you remember the way we looked people talk about studio or area or Paradise Garage.
Thank you, maybe. I don't
No,
know.
I think so because it touched so many people on, from different angles and areas, and it was so tight to get in. And I mean,
No, same rules. Yeah. No famous people. You weren't get in because you were rich and famous, but if you were
again,
nice and interesting and short.
short. What is your all-time favorite Beatrice song or moment that you can think of?
Moments. I had many moments. We had, for the whole club, we had just one bathroom.
Yeah, I remember that.
So you had to go with a bunch of people every time, so you would make a lot of friends, females or males. And actually, I really liked that moment also because I thought our club was almost a lesbian bar. So that made me think that Jonathan Richman's song, I was dancing in a lesbian bar.
Well, I was dancing in a lesbian bar in the industrial zone. I was dancing with my friends and dancing alone. Well, the first bar, things were alright, but in this bar, things were Friday night. In the first bar, things were just alright. This bar, things were Friday night, and I was dancing in a lesbian bar. Oh, I was dancing in a lesbian bar. Ooh. Well, I was dancing in a lesbian bar way downtown. I was there to check the scene and hang around. Well, the first bar, things were stop and stare. But in this
Well, what was your most memorable party that you've ever thrown, and what song was playing?
Again, like, I always like to put people together. Even in my art is making connection, and that's also why I started doing places and nightclubs and doing parties. I don't know if there's one song again for that. There's maybe one party I did. It was fun. It's like a friend of mine who had a radio station, a bit like you, Ariel Wiesmann on Radio Nova, came to my house, and we had lots of friends over with a little printed CD and say, "Oh, André, these two guys, young guys, came today. They're really good. They gave me this CD. Let's listen to it." And we listened, and there was very simple words. It was "Around the World."
Wow.
And we listened to that song all night, again and again. So we had a party just with one song, Around the World, and those two young guys became older and Daft Punk.
Going back to the theme of love, what's your
My favorite
your
theme.
favorite subject? What's your go-to making love song?
Leonard Cohen, for me, always been maybe one of the most sexy voices. Again, also I think he's, of course, a songwriter, but he's a poet. And I think Chelsea Hotel is a beautiful, sexy song, and it tells a real story. So the legend once that the girl he's speaking about is Janis Joplin, and they had a story together, as we say in French, une histoire ensemble.
And I think the Chelsea Hotel, and with its history and patina, basically has a kind of, and its artistry, has a strong connection to you and New York. I feel like it kind of fits.
That wasn't my time. It wasn't
No, of course not, but
it was my fantasy. It was the things I looked up. It was the New York I was fascinated. So I didn't know. Actually, I slept and I did a little photo shoot in the Chelsea Hotel, but just to touch a bit that mythology and that thing. But things I look up to.
I remember you well in the Chelsea Hotel. You were famous, your heart was a legend. You told me again you preferred handsome men, but for me you would make an exception. And clenching your fist for the ones like us who are oppressed by the figures of beauty, you fixed yourself. You said, well, never mind, we are ugly, but we have the music.
André, merci chérie.
Merci Armand.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
You just turn your back on the crowd. You got a way I never once heard you say, I need you, I don't need you, I need you, I don't need you, and all of that jiving around. I don't mean to suggest.
For this episode's playlist, visit areweonair.com, where you'll be able to enjoy the full playlist mentioned in this conversation.